Yes, it's another one of these ones. Sorry. All right, so why am I sitting in a chair talking to you instead of doing work? Well, because I've been on YouTube for 12 months now, and I thought, hey, let's celebrate. Let's get funky. Let's let our hair down and have a bit of a chat. So I have taken some notes because I wanted to run through everything that I've learned, and it's an extremely short list because I haven't learned anything by doing this for a year. I kind of already knew going into this. I did a fair bit of research, so nothing really jumped out as a surprise to me. There were a few things with the algorithm, which I'll go into, but yeah, obviously don't take any advice from me because, you don't take advice from the failures, you take advice from the successes. So yeah, listen to those guys. I'm just going to run through my experience very quickly because obviously it's going to be extremely boring for people who are into car content. This is more going to be for guys who are thinking about doing YouTube themselves. And I'm sort of going to run through what not to do because that's what's not working for me. Obviously, there's a few universal truths that everyone knows, and that's, things like audio and lighting are as important as a good camera. So microphones and shop lights are very, very important. Audio, a lot. So everyone can record with their phones nowadays, and we know this. But yeah, if you start watching a video and it's a guy way in the background talking with a phone mic, you just instantly click off it. You need microphones. These ones here were about $13 or $15, I think, on Amazon. Very, very cheap, and they work. I have since upgraded to the Rhodes just because they're more reliable. But yeah, cheap microphones will do the trick. And obviously lighting, whether you just get some spotlights or whatever to film out, just some cheap ones, they work. And then obviously things like thumbnail and title for your video are as important as the video itself. But it's a collective. If you have a clickbaity title and an extremely engaging thumbnail, but then the content that backs it up is terrible, you're just not going to get the views anyway. So you have to make a good video. It has to have a good thumbnail. It has to have a good title. The content itself can be boring as batshit, but if you can present it in an engaging way, then you've got a good video. Similarly, if you're boring as batshit but you're doing something very interesting that people are going to watch, then that will be, interesting in and of itself. I'm a boring person. I'm not very charismatic. I'm working on a garbage car that no one cares about. It's a real-time project, so it's very, very slow. I can't compress it into 4 or 5 20-minute episodes like you see on TV. So therefore, my engagement is very, very low. And I knew that going in. I kind of expected at the end of 12 months to be doing a bit better, but whatever. One thing that I did notice that no one else talks about is the period of, how would I describe this? The period that YouTube will promote your video. So I believe like every video gets a promotion. Every video gets its day in the sun. It's 15 minutes of fame. It's up to you to utilize that 15 minutes of fame because obviously YouTube wants eyes on the screen, and it doesn't know when you upload a video if it's utter garbage or the hottest new trend, the new viral thing. So it will promote anything, but it's then up to the viewers whether that promotion starts or continues or not. And it's actually really interesting to watch. It's not straight away. It doesn't happen instantly. It seems to be about a day later or sometimes even 2 days later, and then you'll get a spike in views and then it will just die right off. And I don't know, there seems to be some reason like why one of my videos has been continually promoted, and it's the only video on my channel that's doing well. continually getting promoted. I even have it coming up in my own feeds sometimes because I watch obviously similar content to what I make. And then another one which actually did better initially, like when it got pushed for 2 days, it got pushed hard. It was the most views I've ever got in my channel. And then you could see when it stopped getting pushed by YouTube, it just completely just flatlined, just died right off. And I don't know why, because it seemed to be doing quite well. The only thing I can think of was the fact that the video that's getting constantly pushed has an average view time of almost 4 minutes. It's like 3:56, whereas the video that got dropped had an average view of 3:13. So maybe there's something in that. But the actual view rate of the video that stopped getting promoted was higher than the one that continually. So that was probably one thing that I learned, was that there are some crazy things behind the algorithm. Yeah, so in saying that, going back to my previous point, it's important to not just pump out something because you're due. Make sure it's ready to go. Make sure you've got your thumbnail sorted, your title sorted, all your keywords, everything. None of it really makes a difference in the grand scheme of things, but every little thing helps. So make sure you've got all your ducks in a row. They say that, you know, using keywords does nothing. They say that, you know, all the settings really don't make any difference. They probably don't, but anything that you can do to help will help. So make sure you get all your ducks in a row before you upload, because you need to hit that key window and it needs to go gangbusters then to keep getting pushed. Touching more on that, I notice a lot of people in the new YouTube space, so in the forums, the videos, that kind of thing. There's a lot of resources out there for emerging channels on like Reddit and Facebook and that sort of thing. I'm going to use vidIQ here as a main, just the word I use. It's not just vidIQ, it's a collective, because there's a whole bunch of these websites and other YouTube channels and stuff that offer services to new YouTubers. My main takeaway is don't put too much weight on what these guys are telling you. What the advice they give you obviously has bearing, but it's not going to be the difference between success and failure. So I've actually had guys, you know, coming to me and saying, oh, the reason your channel's not doing so well is because of these things that, you know, that vidIQ have suggested. And you're like, well, yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, like, it's not the nail in the coffin. So as an example, one of the guys said, oh, you're using red text in your thumbnails, and that, you know, has a association in the brain with danger or bad or whatever. People aren't watching your videos because of that. You need to change the text color. Well, I film in front of a blue car constantly, and red contrasts to that well. Is that a thing? Possibly, you know, maybe a handful of people will have a color association with red being bad, won't click on the video. Is that the reason that my channel's flopping? Absolutely not. It's flopping because the content behind it is crap. Changing the color of the text all of a sudden isn't going to, you know, change anything. If you're a top tier YouTube channel and you're scrounging for every single view, it's important to you, these things may make a difference. They may tip you over the edge of 999,000 subscribers or 1 million subscribers. But yeah, don't put too much weight on all the little tiny nuances to your videos. You have to make an engaging video. It has to be interesting. It has to be well edited. You know, it has to have good audio, good lighting. You can't do these talk to camera things. They don't work. It has to have, you know, jump cuts, maximum 45-second long scenes, you know, and YouTube itself, YouTube Studio, gives you all the tools to analyze your videos and work out where you're doing well and where you're not, if you've got time and the energy to put into that. I really don't care, so I don't bother. I just keep pumping out the same blork, and we'll move on with that. Speaking of the same blork, the time and money investment in this, I knew going into it that it was going to be high, and I kind of capped my time, money investment into this. Had I increased that, would I have done better? Slightly, but again, the content behind it isn't good enough for it to make a difference. Like, I could get better camera, better lighting, you know, better editing software. Is it going to make a difference? No. If I went all out, if I got professional editors in to, you know, edit my content, then yeah, sure. I'm sure what I'm doing could be made interesting and could be made successful, but the investment just isn't there for me to do that. And I don't have the money I don't have another project. You know, I would have to basically do this entire vehicle, break it up into maybe 10 episodes, which is probably 2 years of my life in 10 episodes, and then pump those out, which, even if you do a monthly episode, isn't even a year's worth of content. And then you've got to back it up with another project, which is even bigger and even better. I don't have a follow-up, so doing that, investing that kind of time and money into it just isn't worth it. And you're not going to get the financial reward for it unless you're a big YouTuber, a big channel. Then you may. But an emerging channel, YouTube monetization isn't great. You get most of it from channel sponsors and affiliate links and that kind of thing. So that's sort of, you know, bare minimum versus max effort. I put in the bare minimum to my videos. You know, it's a vlog style. I edit it, stitch it together, vlog style. And, you know, I have bare minimum views and subs. And, you know, is it worth for me putting in maximum effort? Probably not. If you want to, that's up to you. Go for it. I guess finally, I'm just going to touch on sort of goals and expectations. I had, like I said, I had higher goals and higher expectations for this, which is when I didn't hit those goals or expectations, it kind of jaded me a little bit, and I kind of ramped down my effort even further, because I just was like, well, if I'm not going to hit my goals, then why bother, kind of thing, which is a little disheartening. But, you know, at the same time, like, maybe I shouldn't have had as high goals or expectations. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying here. But anyway, yeah, so it's hard. YouTubing is, you know, it's quite confronting when you hit a lull. Your new video doesn't do anywhere near as well as you thought it would, or one video just for some reason bombs. You know, I've got one video which has got like 40 something views, and that's all it's ever had. And it's weird to me because it's in a series. It's a part 1 of part 2 in a series. Like, if you skip that video, you don't get the continuation. So the video before it had several hundred, the video after it has several hundred. You know, I don't understand how that works. It's weird. And yeah, it is very demotivating and very shocking. But at the same time, like, now that I have a back catalogue of content, I could stop uploading today and my channel would continue to increase. I would get probably more views, more subscribers. Obviously, it would taper off if I'm not producing more content, but the back catalogue, people can still access that, can still watch that. And you know from yourself, as being a YouTube user, you tend to not unsubscribe from channels that you don't watch anymore. They just kind of fall off your radar. So the subscribers that I have aren't necessarily going to go away, and I will still get more even if I stopped uploading today. So once you get that back catalogue of videos and you've got something that people can sit down and watch, you'll notice every now and then just a huge spike in watch hours because someone has gone back and watched like an entire back catalogue and spent like 4, 5, 6, 8 hours watching content. I can see that in my analytics, that spike. And that kind of gives you a little bit of motivation, I guess. So there are ups and downs to it, but yeah, it is tough when you're not doing as well as you thought you would or you hoped you would. But yeah, I only ever wanted to help a few people out, and if I'm helping a few people out, then I'm happy. So I'm going to finish this project. I have always said that I'll upload the whole thing, and then I will move on to other things. So that's still the plan. I'm still keeping on and keep my head up, and you do the same. Bye.